Welcome to Battleground Politics. I'm Mayk, and I'm in Northeast Philadelphia. The road I'm on right now is one of the ones where SEPTA routes are due to be cut amid a budget crisis for SEPTA and a budget impacts in Harrisburg. I sat down with Senator Joe Picozzi, who represents this area, and we talked about the debate over SEPTA and his role in it. Thank you for taking some time. I know it's been really busy recently. You guys have been up and back to Harrisburg. I've been up and back to Harrisburg. I'm glad we got a chance to sit down and talk. I want to talk a little bit about sort of where we are, some of the legislation that's been on the table, but I have to start with sort of where we are today, which is the deadline that SEPTA has set to get this funding. As we sit here, there are just hours left for SEPTA to secure the funding to avoid these cuts. SEPTA goes through your district. How are you feeling at this moment?
I feel the same way my constituents feel. Sad, disappointed. We want to see results. We got a package out of the Senate with $1.2 billion for transit and infrastructure. Our belief is this: we've given SEPTA all the money that was proposed by the governor, every penny of it. We matched it in the first year, go bigger in the second year. We worked hard to get something out of the Senate before the deadline. I was hoping there'd be more good faith engagement so that we could work together to get something done and prevent this crisis. I've been working my tail off on it. I'm going to continue to do so.
SEPTA does not think that this solution that the Senate has approved, that you backed, they don't think it's viable for them. Do you think they're wrong?
Well, listen, we are going to give them, our proposal was to give them every penny that the governor said he wanted to give them. And they said no. They said, even if you give us the money, we're still going to cut service. So to me, that's incredibly disappointing. It begs a question of, are you just asking for, are you essentially holding our riders hostage to get the exact deal you want? Or do you really need the money now to stop this crisis? That was my impression. That's why I fought for it on the Senate floor. I don't think it was the perfect package. I said so on the floor. I said, let's not make the perfect the enemy of the good. But it seems like they're willing to hold our riders hostage, my constituents hostage, just to get the perfect deal that they want. So I'm disappointed in that. You know, my view is that this was enough to get them through. It's the exact amount of money the governor said he wanted to give them. So I find it very disappointing, those comments yesterday.
That proposal that that you mentioned that the governor had made that uses sales tax money, the House had passed that. Then the House took that and then added to it some of the oversight measures that you had suggested in the Senate and passed that bill, sent it over to the Senate. It didn't get a vote there. Would you have voted for it?
So if they can answer one question on it, and that question is, what are you going to cut to pay for it? That money's coming out of the general fund, funds our veterans, our hospitals. I need to see a clear answer on what are the cuts in the general fund to make up for the revenue being taken out of it.
Could it be new revenue in something like skill games?
That's my hope. I think anyone who's serious about this recognizes that we need to bring in some new sources of revenue, ultimately. I mean,
so could that plan, could the governor's plan with potentially with your oversight measures in combination with skill games be an answer?
I mean, I think you're hinting on kind of a framework that could potentially work. I think there's a lot that needs to be worked out. I think what's really good, and we take a step back, is we got a proposal out of the Senate. We got members from rural districts to vote for transit funding, including recurring revenue out of the iGame fund. That's historic.
What were those conversations like? Was it difficult to get your colleagues in the Senate, your Republican colleagues in the Senate, to vote for transit funding for the Philadelphia region?
It's historic. I mean, I'm the first.
Was it hard?
I don't want to speak to my internal conversations with my colleagues, but I can tell you this. I'm the first Republican to represent Philly in the Senate in a generation. They're not used to it. They're not used to having someone from Philadelphia. They're not used to having someone as young as me in that room. And what I've done, worked tirelessly to do in the Senate, is build goodwill. You know, one of the challenges, and I think we're all seeing this, is the urban-rural divide in Pennsylvania. It's one of the existential challenges this state has faced for a long time. And I'm working hard to be a bridge builder. I come to them and I say, what's going on in your district? What challenges do you have? I worked really hard to build a lot of goodwill. And I can tell you this, I had members, multiple members say to me, I voted for SEPTA funding just because of you, because I know it's important to you. You've talked to me about it so much. I'm here to do this because of you. And I think that's historic, and I think it's a good chance for us. It shows a path forward. It shows that we're willing to engage on this issue. You know, just a week ago, Jordan Harris came to my district. He said, send us something. We're good at saying yes. We sent you something. This was our first step. I want to keep working together to get this across the finish line and stand up for our city.
You mentioned Jordan Harris coming to your district. Appropriations Democratic chair for appropriations over in the House. There have been a number of Democrats who have come to your district and specifically called you out.
No.
The governor called you out when I asked him a question a couple of weeks ago. First of all, what was your response when the governor called you out?
I felt like, I'm willing to work with him. I've been in here for 8 months now. I've never heard a call from him. He tells people to call me. I like to see him call me. I'm very invested in this issue. It's something I worked tirelessly on since I've been in office. I'm willing to work with everybody. Rather than doing a press conference in my district, come to my office. Let's talk about what my caucus can live with. Let's talk about what your caucus can live with. Let's work together for a deal and for a compromise. But now we've seen both sides have moved closer. We got a transit funding package out of the Senate. They've gotten a new one out of the House that includes some of my own language, and I was encouraged to see that. So the two chambers are moving closer and closer together. My attitude to all of this, and you have to have a thick skin in politics, but I really want to work with everybody in the city, everybody who's invested in it. So my advice to the governor would be, give me a call. I want to work together.
Have you called his office?
We've been in touch in some ways, but we haven't heard from them since that. But I'm happy to be in touch with them. I'm happy to have that conversation. And I asked Democrats when they came to your district if they had invited you to that press conference. Did you call them? Did you say, hey, let's actually talk about this instead of sniping back and forth? Yeah, I refrain from the sniping. And I'll put it out here right now. If you want to work with me, I'm happy to do it. A lot of them have my cell phone number. I think if we really want to get this done, we need to see the acrimony. Did I call them? I called some of the ones that I've have built relationships with. I've been actually having a lot of private conversations with different members of the delegation. I think sometimes when there's this level of acrimony, it makes this a little harder. And I hope we can diffuse those tensions. But I have had a lot of conversations with various electeds throughout the city, both in the municipal level and in the legislature.
There was a lot of pressure on you. There was a lot of focus on you, in part because, as you pointed out, you're a Republican representing Philadelphia. That's unusual. But I know that you have talked a lot about SEPTA. You and I talked about SEPTA when you were first elected.
We did.
Back then. Do you feel like you have done everything you can to get the funding for SEPTA?
I've done everything. I've been working tirelessly on this, and I'm going to continue to do so. It's not done until it's done. And we're looking at the cuts this month, but I think the really disaster is in January. And I'm going to continue to work as hard as I possibly can to solve this problem and to put us on a better footing for the future.
So what is the next step now?
Well, I think it's continuing the conversation, getting a deep understanding of what the real critiques were of our proposal, getting clarity, and I really want Secretary Carroll to put out the information on this fund. I want to make sure that the public knows that you can get an accounting of every penny that's in there, because it seems like there's a misunderstanding. Everything that they gave us, and I serve on the Appropriations Committee, we asked for this information 7 weeks ago. They provided us a balance of $1.3 billion in capital projects over the next 5 years, leaving $1.1 billion unallocated. Our view is that we can use that money to stop the crisis now. If they have different information, they need to share that with the public. They need to put that out there so we can all be working from the same fact sheet.
Some of the capital projects are big things, some are small things. There's also been the issue of safety raised to be able to keep, get new train cars and, signals and things that will keep people safe. If they are saying that they need that money in order to do that, how do you bridge that then?
We were not cutting any money from the already proposed and allocated for capital projects. This is the excess balance in the fund that's just sitting in a bank account in Harrisburg, not doing anything. This isn't taking money away from any project that's been approved, as we understand it based on the information that PennDOT gave us. If they have different information, I'd love to see it, and I think the people need to see it. But our proposal continues to fund every single ongoing capital project that's already been approved.
Let me ask you about another thing in that bill that Democrats have brought up, and that's the fare increases every other year. I think it's tied to the CPI. That would continue. That wouldn't just be a 2-year thing. Do you feel like your constituents could afford to have every other year fare increases?
I want to see that provision reworked. I think that's the one silver lining in my mind. I was willing to stomach it to get us through this crisis, but I do want to see that provision reworked. I have some ideas on it, but I'm going to prefer to have those conversations with legislators.
When you say reworked, do you want it to be taken out and to not have the requirement of having fare increases, or are you talking about reworking the amount?
My view, at least what I've been thinking about, either take it out completely or have a different kind of timeline. Maybe it's every 10 years you do a gut check and see where these rates are, compared to inflation. But I don't think the every 2-year timeline is the way to go.
Okay.
And like I said, just real quick, like I said, it's not perfect, but it was the only way to stop the crisis. That's why I supported it, because I wanted to protect the riders. I didn't want this money just sitting in a banking account in Harrisburg doing nothing. I wanted to make sure that we can keep our buses moving and keep our trains moving.
Do you feel like there is the fact that Democrats in the committee yesterday voted down the bill and did not put it for a full House vote, and so this, for now at least, kind of dies in the House. Does that affect the appetite for taking another bite at this over in the Senate? Do you think your Republican colleagues are willing to take another try at it?
I'm willing to keep trying and trying and trying again, keep twisting the Rubik's Cube, find what we can get out of both chambers. I'm not going to speak for my colleagues, I'm speaking for myself. I want to find a solution. I want to work with everybody and find something that we can all live with. They said for months, pass a funding bill, pass a funding bill. This was the best we could get out of the Senate this week. I'm going to continue to work on this. I'm going to continue to move forward on it. This has been pretty much the main focus of my tenure so far. This problem's gone on for a long time. I just got here, but I want to help be part of the solution. And the fact that we got the Senate to actually move on a transit funding bill this week is tremendous progress.
The Senate also moved on a budget that was a flat budget. It didn't have any additional spending. That also means it didn't have any additional education spending. No. Why were you okay with that?
We're going to continue to work on this. We're going to continue to negotiate. This was our first budget we got out. I believe we do need to reevaluate the formula and keep working on this challenge. Absolutely.
What do you mean by reevaluate the formula? I know what you're talking about. The education
address the
formula.
challenges. Yeah, I mean, Northeast Philadelphia was some of the most overcrowded schools in the entire city. That's a really important issue for me, is to try to help our schools, try to put us in a better position. It's something that I'm pushing for. This is the first pass of the budget. We're going to keep working on it, and I want to see good results for the kids and the students I represent.
These I'm going to go back to transit. These SEPTA cuts are scheduled to go into effect on the 24th. What's your message to riders in your district and throughout the region who are trying to figure out how they can make these new schedules work?
I've read every letter you've sent me. I've taken the calls myself. I have been doing everything I can to possibly get this through the Senate. We got something through this week that I believe, and it gives them every single penny that they've asked for, that the governor's proposed. We're doing everything we can to try to keep our trains and buses moving. I'm going to keep working my tail off on it. I want to get this done for you. I'm going to keep working on it. And it's unfortunate that you've been placed in this position. There's been so much politics to this. My focus is on the results. My focus is on the outcome. But I want to do everything I can to make sure that you're served by the public services in this district.
You can find more Battleground Politics on our website, NBC10.com, on our NBC Philadelphia YouTube page, or wherever you get your podcasts.